What's up, everyone? My name is Creg, the Rock, the People Streamer, the Great One, the most electrifying man in streaming and entertainment. Listen, this video, it came across my feed. It says, worst thing to do after a breakup. See, I most recently went through a breakup, right? I was in a 6-year relationship. I love this person to death. Part of me, a huge part of me still do. So this is very, very big, and this is very relatable to me right now. So one take, live reaction, here we go.
When there's a breakup, it's exceedingly hard, especially if the person is young. Why? Because the relationship represents the whole future. They know there are other people, but it sort of feels like the whole world is shutting down. The brain has to think that the person is gone in time and space. This has become much harder with social media, right?
That is so true. Listen, one thing I noticed I did, right? One of the best ways for me to get that person out of my head, I have to block their notifications. I had to deliberately go find all their profiles and just mute notification, mute stories, mute posts, whatever it is, so my brain doesn't consistently register it. So yeah, absolutely true.
Because people can check up on people, they can hear from people. In the old days, like when I was growing up, you just like took the phone off the hook, or you diverted your attention.
It's true.
Now we are constantly renewing that the person is still there. And so love.
Agreed. Even honest to God, I even have to delete apps at times. I even have to delete like Instagram, Facebook, anything that's gonna remind me of the person, it's gonna allow me to check in on them. I had to pull myself away from it. So absolutely correct.
Love and the loss of love and the death grief are virtually identical. It's that motivational state. And this is why it's so hard to not reach out to somebody that you really miss and want back.
I saw a study.
Yo, that is so freaking true. Man, the amount of nights that I've sat up, like whether I'm listening to music or watching a TV show, and if there's anything that reminds me of that person, man, the amount of times I like sat there just looking at my phone, wanting to text, wanting to reach out. And I have to practice self-restraint not to. I have to distract myself.
Study last week that had researchers asking participants to rate emotional and physical pain of a breakup. They found that women tend to be more negatively affected by breakups, reporting high levels of both physical and emotional pain. But while breakups hit women the hardest, they tended to recover more fully. Men, on the other hand, rarely fully recovered. I thought...
Oh man, this is so true. This is so true. I still haven't recovered from my breakup that happened when I was 21, 22. I was dating this girl. She was my best friend for 6 years. We dated for 2.5. And, you know, the reason why she gave me why we broke up was because she gave me 50 different reasons. Honest to God, 50. I don't even remember one specific reason, but it still affects me even till today because I find myself constantly bringing it up over and over. Same thing with this other girl. I dated her for maybe like 1.5 years. Man, I thought I was going to marry this girl. I thought this girl was the one. And then all of a sudden she looks at me. She said a lot of things. Don't get me wrong. She said a lot of things. But this girl looked at me and said, "You're too good of a boyfriend." Like, that's the number one thing that registered in my head. And that completely broke me. So, yeah, it does take a while for us to get over it.
But that was very interesting. I wasn't too sure what that meant.
Yeah, it's interesting. It also rings true with my experience and my observations. This could relate to a number of things, and here I'm painting with a broad brush, right? You know, how comfortable one is feeling their feelings, is male or female, is going to strongly dictate how quickly one moves through grief. This is the same thing as trauma. The more willing someone is to feel the full depth and intensity of the feelings that they associate with that trauma, the more quickly they're going to move through the trauma.
Oof, that's interesting. It's very, very interesting. Okay.
Again, I'm lifting from Paul Conti's words, so these aren't mine, but you know, people use a number of strategies. They use distraction. Yeah. They use states like, they sublimate to things like anger.
You're absolutely correct. The distraction that I personally used was other women. the anger that I felt afterwards, I I I worked through it two ways. One, I worked through it through the gym, and I worked through it through drinking. So, yeah, true.
And avoidance of various kinds in order to not feel the traumatic feelings or not feel the breakup. People will, try and self-soothe with alcohol or try and self-soothe with multiple new partners or whatever it happens to be. It doesn't work.
I just called it, bro.
Just extends it because this map of space, time, and closeness needs to be fractured. And the only way to do that is for the brain to have to confront the reality, which is that by breakup, they are no longer available. It's like the food on the other side of that wall is gone. It's just not there anymore.
Yeah, that's tough. That's really, really, really tough. That's true.
That the food that was accessible, now there's a wall in between and you will not get through it. And you can see this actually in animal studies that are kind of hard. They're actually very hard to watch. You'll see the animal perseverate, literally damage its own body trying to get through a barrier to something it's highly motivated to see. People do that post-breakup. They usually do that by talking to everybody about the breakup, which
I don't do that. That's one thing for sure. If I'm going through pain, if I'm going through a breakup, I'm not talking to nobody. I'm gonna hold that son bitch in, and I'm gonna work it through at the gym. I'm gonna work it through something else, but I'm not talking it over.
which is its own form of perseverating on the motivation. What did I do? What did I do wrong? This and that. And some of that analysis is healthy, some of it's not. Now, why?
That's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. I talk to myself in the shower, so maybe, but also I'm not really talking to myself in the shower. I'm talking to God. So I'm like, God, what about this? What about that? So, yeah.
Would one group be, let's just say, effective at dealing with breakups? It's probably the ability to really feel the full intensity of how sad it is and be able to confront that. And I think from a very early age, there's an ability that, at least I'm sure it transcends to women too, learning to pack down feelings, right? And so when are we...
Yep. Very, very true. I've learned that a long time. You're not supposed to express your feelings too much. Most of the time, the reason why I learned this is because I've constantly seen people throw it back into my face. The moment I share something, the person remembers it and just uses it back on me. So, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So, yeah.
Rather than allowing ourselves to, sob uncontrollably into a pillow. Some people are better at this. I mean, the late Steve Jobs was a big proponent of scream therapies. He used to go up into the hills behind Stanford. He actually still owns some.
I think, have I done that before? I don't know. Have you ever done that before, Chad? Have you ever just go somewhere and just let it out? And not only that, is it helpful?
It's a property back there. He was really into, catharsis, cathartic release of internal state that he felt would allow him to return as a happier, nicer person. He was.
I mean, I've cried in the gym. That's kind of like my way of release. And when I mean cry, I'm not just sitting there in a corner just sobbing whatsoever. No, I mean I'm pushing the weight and I'm way past my limit, but I'm using that pain, that hurt, to push even more, and I just find myself just bursting out in tears. I'll put a hoodie over my head and keep my head down while I'm just dripping from the eyes, but at the same time I'm still working. So I use that pain to it's a great release.
He was also kind of well known for screaming at people in the office. So he obviously had a lot pent up inside. So I think the better that we can lean into the emotional states that we fear the most, but in a controlled way where we're not harming ourselves or other people, the better. The more that we try and avoid that and we try and sublimate or just, and I've done this, so I'm speaking from experience, I would use the anger or the sadness from an experience to just work 10 times longer, 10 times harder, to just get that much more focus. You're taking that autonomic arousal, that narrow aperture and that energy, and you're putting it onto something that moves your life forward.
I think that's absolutely brilliant. Why would you not want to do that? Why would you? Why would you not want to take that hurt and put it into a podcast? Put it into something that could push you forward. I think that's healthy. Wow. Shit. I guess I need to start dealing with my loss. Shit. This was a very good video. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share anything. I'm here to hang out, to talk with you guys. Thank you so much.